Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host, the expert Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 228. Hope you're amazing as always. I really do. I know I say it every week, and I'm going to keep saying it every week because I mean it, right? Do you know what? It's been an interesting week. It's, do you know, one of those weeks where it's just a bit of a roller coaster, you know, highs and lows and ups and downs and changes and coming in from an incredible week and then moving into incredible things. But in between, sometimes it just gets a little bit crazy, right? Can you relate to that? I'm sure you can relate to that. I've had quite a few people recently come to me in one of the mentoring groups I run, and they're starting coaching practices, consulting businesses. And it's always interesting because I've done this for such a long time. It's the world around coaching has changed so much. I remember going to the US, LA, maybe 12, 13 years ago now. And no one really understood what the heck coaching was. People knew what sports psychologist was, but no one had ever really used neurolinguistics or any other type of modality in sports, and they hadn't really used it properly in business. Now, Tony Robbins was the man still. Of course, Tony's Tony, but people hadn't heard about it, and it's changed so much. I remember back in the day, really half of my job was going to explain to business people and entrepreneurs and actors and people, on TV sets and even special force commandos and all of this stuff, what the heck coaching even was. And to see it have evolved so much, especially over the past 3 years, now it's all about the funnels, now it's all about marketing, now it's all about branding. And it's so interesting because I was running a group last night, and Harlan, who's one of my mentors, he's also a good mate of mine. He's also been a client. I've been a client of his, things like that. And he was talking about showing the intricate details of running 7- and 8-figure business from his perspective, and all the details that have to go in. Like in the wild west days of the internet, you could literally send emails out, create offers, and people would buy because it was all novel. It was all novelty, right? Which creates the dopamine hits, the neuroepinephrine. It creates that adrenaline surge. So people, because it was such a novel world, people were making millions and millions and millions of dollars so fast. And has that changed? Well, yeah, it's kind of changed. It doesn't mean people aren't making that type of money. It's not that. But the whole detail of how you have to run a business has to change. Meaning, it's run like a business. Years ago, people weren't like that. They could just learn to market. But these days, you've got to really be able to run a business in so many different aspects, you know, and it's basically running a business, right? Well, years ago, you could get away with not. So the finances, the metrics, the tracking, the split test, the different sources of income, the accountants, we're looking at business growth. So we're looking at the numbers, the law, making decisions, right? We're running managers, customer services, you know, all the different parts of that, right? From frequently asked questions to emails to toll-free numbers. We're running team members from customer service to tech teams to graphics to copywriters to, you get the idea. But what was amazing to see is even from his perspective, and he's been in this world for a long time and one of the top in the world for what he does, and health and mindset were number one. Because if health isn't right, then we're not going to get the correct brain function. And even past that, we're not going to get the expansion or the focus or the discipline or the belief or the resilience to be able to bounce back after something going wrong. And that determination, right? That's all about mental performance, right? It's not just about being happy, right? Being happy is good and we should need to be, but it's only going to get us so far. What's more important, or as important, I should say, is basically fine-tuning your thinking. And what was amazing is to go through and listen to Harlan break down his business for us. And again, it's the same thing. Unless we're constantly fine-tuning our thinking, It doesn't matter what system you've got. It doesn't matter what business you got. You're just not going to be able to grow it to the same level that you went into it thinking you could. And I don't know whether you're there right now. And if you are there right now and you're struggling, or you've run in a system and you've been kicking ass, but maybe it's dipped off, or you just can't get past that boundary, that wall, then understand it's okay. You are where you are. You're safe. You can put food on the table. Hopefully you can pay your bills, hopefully. So really sitting down each day is a beautiful thing, and understanding it's a fresh start. And I treat everything like this, and I want you to do the same. We got to chunk it down into manageable bite-sized chunks of information. So when we're looking at a day, I want you to section that day as that's it, right? You just kick ass and do your best in that day. And then if you're setting yourself up in the mornings, if you're interrupting patterns, if you're activating things I call mirror neurons, if you're doing all these things all day and you're around the right people, if you're absorbing information the right way, then guess what? Every day you're building muscle. Every day is a new start. Every day you have infinite possibility to connect to someone you don't know that could change your life. Have an idea that you'd never even thought of was possible. But then suddenly you get that breakthrough. Or you suddenly get a perspective on the role that you're playing inside of your company to be able to scale it. Or getting rid of that person, or hiring that person, or writing that system, or looking at the brand a different way, or changing the funnel, adapting the video, right? You get the idea. So it doesn't really matter where you are now. It's what you do next. That's the whole point. What now? Okay, you are where you are. Whatever, that's awesome. But what now? What next? What you're going to do about it? And when we can have that mindset, what happens every day is the neurology, the neural nets will keep building and connecting. The chemicals will keep getting produced. It will start to integrate inside of you, which what that means, it starts to become automatic, a behavior, a habit. So every day understand, you're just partway through your journey onto building this thing. You're only partway onto your journey of completion. And if you understand that you can take score way too early, right? Then guess what? Every day is a new day for you to go and kick ass. Make sense? I hope so. And speaking of kicking ass, do you like how I did that? I'm going to put training in today. It's about 48 minutes long. I did it the other day, and it's pretty epic. People were asking me, what's the difference between you and other people? And I explained. But then they were saying, well, what's the difference between Mindset by Design and other brands? So I explained, right? So I was only going to do about 20 minutes, but you know me by now. So I pumped out 48 minutes. The video is actually on YouTube, so you can check the actual slides out, because it was all slides. So you can check that out, whenever you want. I'll put the link in the show notes. But this is a really cool... it's a really cool training, because it really shows. I had to go inside, let's put it this way, and I had to go back to the real foundation of why I created this brand, why it's so different. And when we're talking about brainwave frequencies and all of this other stuff, it changes the way you're probably going to listen to the podcast, the way you're going to understand, what type of and level of coaching and systems that I use, and why the best in the world hire me, right? And that's also the reason people jump into the 8-figure thinker. They use the world-class performer audios and video series. There's a reason, right? It's a difference of what's out there. And that's my biggest pet peeve, right? It's my biggest pet peeve, is regurgitating anything that the personal development industry has said and just become common knowledge. Because the truth is, anyone can say it. And I want you to give you a different experience. I want you to give you a look behind the scenes. I want to give you a different way to see coaching, performance, business, and who you are in this life. So I know you're going to enjoy the episode. It's pretty cool. I go on for a bit, but hey, I know you'll love it too. So head over to the show notes for loads of different links besides the YouTube one. If you're ready, you can, guess what? You can see somebody who can point you in the right direction. It's called Unlock Your Performance Session. I see some of them, and I've got coaches who see the rest, but I try and see as many as I can because I just want to help you in that moment and work out what the best direction is for you. That's it, right? So that's an option for you. Got options. What else we got? Well, if you haven't clicked on the World Class Performer link, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? We've got so many people using this audio and video series that and the feedback I'm getting is amazing. And I never created it for that. I just created what came out of me. But I want you to go and use it too, because I know it will change your mornings. It will change your brain. It will build the way of thinking that you've always dreamt of. So it's there for you. Go and check it out. And we've got some other cool links in, but make sure you're clicking a link. And one other thing. Have you ever wrote me a review? Have you ever wrote me a review? If you have, I appreciate and love you. If you haven't, I'd appreciate and love you if you did. iTunes and the rest of the gang are gonna love me for it, which means I'm gonna love you more for it. So what that does is it helps somebody. Plain and simple, it helps somebody. And speaking of helping people, I want you to go and share one of these episodes with someone that you love or you like or you think might need a bit of support and growth, right? Because that's what the podcast is all about. And if you're new to it, awesome. Always nice to have a new listener. What we're here on about Mindset by Design is about building new behaviors, new ways of thinking, feeling, and acting to create world-class performance. Using things like NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which I'm a world-class expert at. We've got Neuro-Retraining, which is my own systems. We're backed by Neuroscience gamification. We're using behavioral psychology. Anything that's dealing with the conscious, unconscious mind, neurology, and making you the ultimate version of you. So I want you to go back and use the podcast like a library. Choose a topic, see what works, and guess what? You've got your own mini coaching session. Pretty good? Pretty good. So make sure you're clicking on those links, stepping up, doing something different for yourself, and let's make this year damn amazing. So go click those links, and I will see you at the end of the show. So welcome everybody. Here we are at World Class Performer 101, and I called it that, and I called it the World Class Performer rather than Mindset by Design or the 8-Figure Thinker, because that's what we're all about, right? We're all about world-class performance in this brand, and I want to share with you some of the basics, the foundation that I really built the brand off, and also the concept around all of my coaching and the 8-Figure Thinker course and the world-class performer audios and the videos and stuff. And I just wanted to share with you more of an understanding, okay? So as you start to understand the brand more, it's going to make you understand that there is a vast difference with Mindset by Design than probably 99% of mindset brands out there. For the simple fact, everyone really just focuses on the things that are very common in personal development, you know, about let's do some meditation, let's just be happy, you know, let's focus on this, and all of that's great stuff. But the challenge with it is it doesn't really create change. Right? I'm not saying meditation doesn't, but it's part of the puzzle. So what I want to show you today is really where my brain thinks about when I created this brand, when I work with coaching clients, why I create results that truly people can't. And if you've worked with me inside of Nitro Group, if you've worked with me privately, if you've worked inside of the World Class Performer Mastermind, then what you're going to learn is that I do things a little different. So why don't I share my screen and then we will jump in. Hopefully everybody can see this. I am going to press play here. And away we go. So hopefully that records okay and it puts my box over there. I don't know. But there I am sitting there in San Diego. If you want to know what that photo is all about, that was taken by a buddy of mine, Nick Onken. And gotta love Nick. Just recording an episode on the podcast, and definitely go and check Nick out. But anyway, let's get into it. So world-class performer 101, okay? The foundation, the basics, the real fundamentals that you should understand about really creating change. And people don't really talk about this because people don't really understand this. And I want to give you more information in the next probably 20 minutes than yeah, most companies or most people even talk about. So let's jump in. Because the point with Mindset by Design is this. It was born with a burning desire and obsession and a clear direction and purpose to create laser focus, right? Create laser focus and create world-class mental performance. So whether you're a futurist like Elon Musk or a creative genius like Richard Branson, well, both of them are pretty creative, right? Both of them are pretty geniuses. But everyone has such a unique strategy of how they see the world. And when you start to understand that everyone has such a unique version of reality, because what happened is this. Every time we're born, okay? Not every time, but when we're born, our mind is like a blank canvas. Now, we can talk about epigenetics and different stuff, but let's just imagine that things are like a blank canvas in your brain. So every time you have an experience, whether it's good or whether it's bad, it doesn't matter. A path is formed. A piece of software is there. And the challenge with this is we make a decision about what's happened and the neural nets just want to complete. That's how the brain works. This then integrates into our nervous system and becomes what? A habit, right? So your view of the world has been created from billions of experiences and billions of decisions that's made you see the world a certain way. That's why they say the rich get richer. Well, yeah, they get taught a certain model of the world. That's why you often get world champion athletes, right? And world champion athletes have brilliant kids, right? Brilliant kids, not just in maybe sports, but they get taught a certain model of the world that then, well, yeah, they know how to perform. So with Mindset by Design and everything that I do, it's all about this. It's all about building a version of you scientifically so you then can perform at your world-class best. Make sense? Good. So here at Mindset by Design, we are constantly asking the question, how can someone do that skill? Do you hear what I said? How? The why is important, but it's a later thing. Everyone starts with the why. I don't start with the why. I start with the how. Because when we're doing modeling or this type of design, right? Mindset by Design. So I want to know how. Because the why could be, I want to change the world. Well, that's cool. You might want to change the world too. But how are you doing that? How are you thinking? How are you feeling? And how are you acting? What are their beliefs around money, stress, performance? You get the idea. So everyone's a very unique version of them. And what I want you to understand is how somebody does that. So with the podcast, that was my whole intention. Whole intention with the podcast was for that one reason. It was to show you glimpses of people's brains so you can then learn how they do something. Does that make sense? So this curiosity is what completely drives me. And I look for the most cutting-edge systems to really create, well, world-class performance. Like it? I bet you didn't even know that was about the brand, right? And you've listened to all of those podcasts and you've listened to me rant on, but that's what's behind the brand. So this is why this is one-on-one world-class performer. So this is what I used to think of coaching many, many years ago now. I've been doing this game for 17 years with brain and sales and everything else. But if you're a life coach, please, please, please understand. That's what I thought it was. And nothing wrong with life coaching, but it's definitely not what I do, okay? I'm not helping out people with their lives. I'm helping out people perform like they never even knew they could, or never even knew they dreamt about, at such a level inside of their business that, yeah, suddenly their life in the business takes off. What I don't do is sit down and be all gentle and no, let's go. That's what creates results, which is why this is what we're talking about. High performance, okay? So when we're talking about high performance, I treat everyone as this. And I've taught this for years. I believe as entrepreneurs and people in general, we are like high performing vehicles. You need maintenance, you need tuning up. And because you're a high performance vehicle, it doesn't matter how fast the Ferrari can go, or these are muscle cars, but hey, whatever, right? It doesn't matter how fast it can go. If you don't put maintenance into it, if you don't fine tune it, the car breaks down. So you could be the best athlete in the world, but if you don't maintain it, the machine breaks down. For entrepreneurs, this is our machine, right? And if we don't understand how to fine tune this, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act, doing specific routines each day, and really getting into understanding that we can tweak and change memories and how to unlock your performance, then guess what happens? Yeah, your car or your mind, the vehicle breaks down. Make sense? So understand that. Here on Mindset by Design, we are about world-class performance and 8-figure thinking. Why? Because you are a high-performance vehicle. Like it? Good. So how we do things different is this. There's many different layers to this, but I'll just give you the first 3, okay? Neural retraining. What the heck's that? Well, that's my systems, right? It's how to neurally, right? The brain, the mind muscle, how to retrain it to respond how we want to. What the heck does that mean? I want you to think about your business in abundance. I want you to think about money instead of with resistance, with absolute determination of flow. I want you to think about that sales call with laser focus and confidence. So when we're able to retrain the way you think, not by going, think positive, step into state, that's for other people who really don't know what they're doing and are selling snake oil, as they call it, right? They're selling air. What I'm interested in is true results. So again, if you've ever worked with me or been around me or gone through the 8-figure thinker or groups, you're going to know this already. But what I call neural retraining is it's like the manual and the mechanics, okay? That's how I'm able to rewire, retrain patterns of behavior, habits, focuses, beliefs really, really fast, okay? And then the other side that I love is all about the brand and myself. It's neuroscience, right? I spoke to lots of doctors around this topic and all the rest of it. I've interviewed neuroscientists. And to me, neuroscience is beautiful because it's finally caught up and showing through ECG scanners and really just cutting edge, brilliant scientists. It's showing how the brain and body is connected. It's showing how the brain is constantly rewiring and the neurochemical cocktails that are getting produced and how it affects our decision making, how it affects our motivation, our drive, our energy levels. And so to me, that's the maths. That's the evidence, okay? That's the evidence to back all the things I've been doing for 17 years. But 17 years ago, this stuff wasn't available to you, okay? But now it is, which is pretty cool. And speaking of 17 years, well, let me take a little sip of my tea. Green tea in there. Gotta love it. So real world experience and wisdom. I've been through, I don't know if you know my story. I'll give it you very quickly to 1 minute. I promise if you heard it 100 times. But I left when I was 24. I left the UK. Within inside of 6 months, I became one of the top performers in Australia in sales. And that's where I learned neuro-linguistic programming. And that was my foundation, okay? That completely changed my life. And then from there, we got headhunted to New Zealand, where I became the top performer in New Zealand in real estate investment and in sales. And there was no one else touching me. And back then, I got bored. I was 27 years old, and I decided to get with somebody, business partner, and develop a $100 million project of Fijian resorts. And there's all stories behind this. Massive highs, massive lows, massive highs. And I went through bankruptcy, nervous breakdown, and lost everything. And if you want to hear more about that, there's the information somewhere. But the truth is that taught me so much. Being one of the top performers in 2 different countries, then playing on a world-class level. We took that project over to Dubai. We were selling it down next to the Palms, Dubai land. I met the Sheikh, all of these things. We went to even buy our private island, and it was crazy thinking back. And that taught me a lot, because I lost everything. I lost everything. I lost houses, partners, investments, and was basically living in the MMA gym, training and fighting every day. And that was fun, but it's not too much fun when you can't afford to eat or pay your rent. But that's where I shifted. And that's what gave me the wisdom, because that's when I basically built my career and my profile in LA. And yeah, I was working with all entrepreneurs, world-class, world champion athletes and fighters. And that took me into working with royalty and Hollywood and all of this other stuff. So the reason I say that is the past 12, 13 years is about building my career and my reputation to be one of the top in the world for mental performance because of the wisdom. And I worked with, in the past, I've worked with trauma victims, post-traumatic stress disorder. I've worked with, helped everyone. So that gives me such a unique perspective on the world. Remember, bubble of the world, right? That I'm able to relate to everybody who comes to me for every single thing. And then we can work, obviously, and expand that business. But when you understand the world a certain way, I'm able to give such knowledge, and it's not airy-fairy personal development, regurgitated BS. No, it comes from true world-class knowledge. So what that does for you is it gets rid of all the fluff, and it gives you exactly how we create world-class performance. Make sense? Good. So your neuroscience behind it. Let me explain what neuroscience actually means, okay? The term neuroscience, pretty obvious, but refers to the scientific study of the nervous system. The word is derived from a combination of the word neuron and nerve and science. Surprising, right? But neuroscience concerns all scientific aspects of the nervous system, including molecular, cellular, functional, and structural elements, as well as the evolutionary, medical, and computual aspects. For example, do we need to go through this? It's development of the biological function, the actual connection of the brain. So when we're able to rewire your thinking, what's actually happening in the brain is we're connecting new synapse connections, which connects new chemicals, which tells every cell and fiber in the body to respond a different way. This increases your focus, your motivation, your drive, your energy. But it also increases something else. And that is the ability to create change. And that's a study around neuroplasticity, which I'm not going to go into today. But what that means is that the brain is completely malleable and is constantly wanting to change and adapt. That's how human beings have survived. It's through the nervous system or the neurology adapting to its environment. So that's neuroscience, right? So it doesn't matter where you are, we can completely change it. It doesn't matter where you are financially. It doesn't matter if you're stuck in your business to scale it. It doesn't matter if you've been a world-class performer and then you've dipped off. The truth is, I can really show you how to respond a different way, and really, it doesn't matter where you are, we completely move you over to where you want to get to. And we do that fast because the brain constantly wants to adapt, okay? So neuroscience has been proven that the brain has neuroplasticity, meaning it rewires and grows when trained to do so. So a way to explain this, and the way I've explained this for a long time, and I love this example, I love it, right? I came up with this example years ago, and it's like looking at an NBA player, or it could be whatever, right? What we're looking at is them personally. They do physical training, looking at the outside, right, the muscles, but they do physical training to make their muscles fire and respond a very predetermined way, okay? This is fast twitch, right? And look, comparing that to a strong man, right, or the world's strongest man who's lifting massive, massive weights for long periods of time. So one's fast twitch, reacts fast, the other one's slow and steady, right? And lifting extreme weights. Well, what's the difference? Well, they're both human, right? They both have muscles. The difference is one's potentially born with fast twitch and different type of muscles. But besides that, they're trained to respond a certain way. Understand that? So when you take that concept into the brain, we have to understand that the specific type of training or rewiring that we do in the brain, what it does is it allows you to, well, think, feel, and act a certain way, but also scale your thinking, which scales your business. Does that make sense? Because somebody who's earning 7 figures does not think like someone who's earning 5 figures. Now, if you're earning 5 figures, you might look at that and go, well, what's the difference? They're just earning money. It's not the truth. They are looking at the world a completely different way. Their expectation, their focus, their discipline, their team building, their communication, everything is very unique that goes into creating that result. So it's not just a case of like, oh, we have to earn money. No. You could be running an Amazon business now, trading Forex. You could be starting an online course or online business in anything. It doesn't matter. I've probably worked with one of the top leaders in your industry and helped them. So what I'm saying is you could have any business model or system. It works. Awesome. But the thing that's going to stop you from creating that level of performance or results or money that you want or helping as many people as you can is you. It's what's wired and pre-trained in here. It's how the muscles are connected in your brain and how they respond. Does that make sense? I hope so. So then for the 8-figure thinker, for example, and I truly believe the 8-figure thinker is the most cutting edge in-depth mental performance training system that exists on earth. I'll put that against anything that's out there. It's incredible. And if you've never seen the free training around it, then you probably should, right? So I had this element in called gamification. Gamification is the use of game thinking or game mechanics. And what that means is that it's like all the apps that you're on. Okay, well, the gamified. It hooks you in and it makes it a brilliant learning experience, right? So improve the user's engagement, physical exercise, return on investment, data quality, or just being involved in the learning experience. That's what you want, right? So a review on research on gamification shows that a majority of studies find positive effects from this concept. So what that does is it teaches you how to train this way, way faster, okay? I do this even with the groups I run or the masterminds I run or the nitro groups, coaching. I do it with all of this. If you're watching this and you're involved with that, you probably don't even know I'm doing it, but I'm doing it, right? Knuckles, you remember this, right? It's gamification and also another concept of anchoring. But when we put all this together, it starts to create a very different experience for the user, but it starts to create a very different experience for you because it's like nothing else that's out there. And then what we do, making sense so far? I know I'm flying through this, right? Maybe I need to have a couple little sip of tea again and we need to slow this down. But is that making sense so far, right? So we train the brain a certain way. You're going to respond a certain way. So I want you to understand about this, the conscious and unconscious mind. Okay? So this bit drives me crazy. I want to see just the next slide. Okay, so this bit drives me crazy. If you're a therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or a normal coach, this is cool. I'm happy that you're doing your thing, right? I'm happy that you're doing your thing. I've got full respect and I love you. But there's something you probably need to know. And that is the conscious mind. They use it for talk therapy. And I could talk to you all day long, and unless I'm using very specific language patterns and I'm really guiding you visually, even while talking to you, not in trance, not in hypnosis, not in anything like that, but just me talking to you, then what it does is we're guiding the brain through certain states, through certain emotions. And what that means is then consciously we can start to create some change or some perspective changes, right? But the truth is, with the conscious mind, I need to give you something else. I need to give you a toolbox. And the toolbox is designed to change your focus. It's to be able to walk through that self-talk and make it powerful. It's to be able to change your emotion in the moment. It's been designed to be able to change and step into a different peak state in the moment. That's what your conscious mind is for, right? Well, that's the way I teach it. Because that's about performance. Otherwise, what we're doing is we're talking about the past again and again and again and again. Oh, doesn't it get boring? Right. Instead, I want to show you how to get control of your mind so you can then change who you are in the moment and step up and perform. Does that make sense? Do you see the radical difference? And when we're introducing everything that I've taught you already, and remember, I'm just giving you little glimpses. But when you get this, everything changes. Because what we need to know is how to use both of these, conscious, unconscious, okay? Now, the unconscious could be called the subconscious, the automatic system, but there's other words for it, and we'll get into it. So the conscious mind, I've just explained, right? So the unconscious mind is, well, it's the automatic bit of your mind. So let me explain about that, right? And I'll go into more definitions around it. But think about what you're doing automatically, okay? Yes, habits, yes, things like that. But what are you doing automatically? Why'd you stop at a red stoplight? Because that's what you're supposed to do. I get that's what you're supposed to do. But why'd you do it at 5 o'clock in the morning when there's 0 cars around? Right. It's just automatic. If I went to put my hand out and shake it, what you gonna do? You're gonna shake it. So when you start to understand the unconscious part of your mind is the software, okay? It's the mind muscle. It's also what I call the body mind. The bit of your mind that blinks you, breathes you, affects your lymph system, your adrenal glands, your heart rate, your micro muscles on your face, your neurochemical cocktails that are pumping through your brain. Yes, it's your nervous system. And what we're doing through everything that I've explained very briefly, I'm just giving you 0.01%, but what I'm showing you is that we're training the nervous system to respond a certain way or a different way, right? And that includes a different way from the past. Okay, we're still going to go back and change the past and change those memories. Of course we do. But we've also got to focus on building the future even more. Because when you build the future even more and we lean in and we're closing deals and we're getting results, then this builds a different version of us. That means this version becomes very easy to delete or clean up the past weights. Okay? So very different what I do to, well, everybody else. Because everybody else, I don't know, I've just seen tens of thousands of people. And I love everyone's systems and everyone's different. This is just the way I do it. And I've been very lucky to work with a lot of different people and have a lot of experience. And the truth, man, I'm my own biggest experiment. This game goes on for me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It really, really does. So what we got to get access to is the unconscious mind, right? Conscious, unconscious. Okay, so what we got to look at is different ways to do it. And talk about hypnosis. I call it trance or installation. Call it whatever you want. We're playing with brainwave frequencies, okay? So I'll talk about more of that in a second. But what this does is hypnosis will, well, it's simply taking the body and mind into a state of relaxation. This allows you to focus on the internal world rather than the external world. Make sense? The internal world is where we create. The external world is what we experience. Create, experience. We can't experience the outside world that we want without designing, mindset by design, the internal. Make sense? And you all know that. If you're watching this, it's for a reason, right? So ways to do this, well, guess what? Pre-programmed audio is like everything that I've got out there, okay? There's a lot of stuff out there, and I'll show you a little bit more later. But that's one way of being able to get into the software. The other way is what the yogis have been doing for thousands of years, okay? What they do is go into breath work, and what that does is goes internal, okay? Go more into the science around that another time. But the truth is, it works. But the challenge is they don't know how to pre-design the neurology, right? To make us think, feel, and act a certain way. It's great for calming you down. It's great for resetting the nervous system. It's brilliant. And it's also great for changing brainwaves, which we'll get into. Nature. Yeah, I love it, right? The frequency of nature. And everything is vibration. And it's a whole different topic, where I mix Eastern and science, and yeah, it's a whole different topic anyway. But nature is like it's a default setting tuning fork. Bing! It resets us. So it allows us to be calm so we can go inside, okay? But let's keep going. Because you've got to know your brain waves. You do, you have to know your brain waves. We've got beta, alpha, delta, theta, gamma, okay? So beta is what you're bouncing around in all day long, okay? Now we've got different levels of beta and it means different things, okay? We'll talk about it for another time. But beta means you're awake, normal, alert, and conscious. It's handy if you're conscious when you're walking around, although most people aren't conscious, they're completely in trance and they're doing what they're told by society, and they're doing what they're told by their boss, and they're doing what they're told by the news, and they're doing what they're told by the media, and they're doing what they're told now by social media. At least social media is wow, they're controlling that now, aren't they? It sounds like a conspiracist, but it's not. It's just what's happening with algorithms. And the idea is to, even online, is to create your own world, right? So they're just letting you see what you want to see. And you probably understand that, right? So what we're trying to drop the brain into through different methods, like I've just explained, is alpha. Now we can go into delta, theta for different reasons, but alpha gives us access to the software. What's the software, Andy? Just told you. The unconscious mind, right? Your nervous system, the visual component in your brain, the memories, the way you think about the future, the past, money, success, your beliefs about yourself, right? How you value yourself. All of these are contained inside the software. We can't get access to the software because there's a wall in between. I'll go into it another time. But there's like a wall in between. That's why you can say affirmations all day long, but do they create real, true change? Well, no, they don't. They will after a long period of time of deep repetition where it hammers through this wall and goes into the unconscious. Affirmations and things like that are fantastic for in the moment changing your emotion. And that's another conversation when we start talking about actual states and peak states and alter egos and all things like that. But just for this one concept, what we want is the alpha, okay? That's where you're physically and mentally relaxed, awake but drowsy, okay? That's the daydream state. That's the meditation state. And when we're in that place and we start playing with the visuals, and the visuals can get very, very technical. like very, very technical. People don't realize, like the 64 components that make up a memory, okay? And we change the components of a memory, it changes the encoding of the brain. That's a little bit different to probably what you're used to hearing, isn't it? Right, but it's the truth that people just don't know things at that level. So the effectiveness of hypnosis, okay? The effectiveness of hypnosis, and you can change the word to meditation, guided meditation. But again, guided meditation is great, but there's levels of the game. If you visualize, brilliant. Keep doing it. But understand, there's levels of sport, right? You go from amateur to semi-pro to pro and then to a world-class level. Well, it's the same with being able to program this. You can just by doing visualization, it's great, but it's an amateur level. Then we can go up in detail. So psychoanalysis, just on this was by the American Health Study, by American Health Magazine. And what they looked at was psychoanalysis. And they looked at 38% recovery after 600 sessions. Now, 38% recovery is still pretty damn good, to be honest, right? If you're getting over stuff. But 600 sessions, woo! How long is that going to take you, right? How long? That means a session every single day for 2 years, right? But you ain't going to be doing a session every day. So it's like a 10-year process. We've got behavior therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, right? It's great. 72% recovery after 22 sessions. That's still pretty damn good, right? But when we look at hypnotherapy, or let's get rid of the word hypnotherapy, right? When we look at being able to go into the software and really retrain it at a high level, then we're looking at 93% recovery after 6 sessions. Might seem like a dramatic claim, but the truth is I've worked with abuse victims, rape victims, I've worked with people getting ready on TV sets, I've worked with people collapsing that no one else could fix them. These are all the extremes. We're not talking about performance stuff. We're not talking about making that world-class trade, or we're not talking about doing that business merger, or we're not talking about dealing with high-pressure performance in sales. I'm talking about recovery. But I've been able to help those abuse victims like in 1 or 2 sessions. Now, am I doing something magic? Well, kind of. No, I'm not. I'm not doing something magic. I just know where to press. I just know what to do. And we're dealing with the software, remember? So hypnotherapy is you're able to go so deep into that. Now, hypnotherapy is great, but it's, again, it's kind of cheesy. There's a lot of cheeseball stuff in it. So we've got to take things to a whole new level, okay? We've got to use brainwave frequency. So 93% after six sessions. Pretty epic, pretty epic. So you're starting to learn the importance of mindset by design. You're starting to get it? Good. Because let's talk about a little of the brain, just very, very briefly. And there's many components of the brain, obviously. And I'm not a neuroscientist. But there's lots of components of the brain that I focus on. And the 3 here are some of the most important for my area of expertise. And that's the executive state, or the prefrontal cortex, the prefrontal lobes, the emotional state, which is the limbic system, and the survival state, which is the brain stem. Okay, so those 3 areas is what I like to really, really focus on, because I find for what I do, that creates real, true, well, change, you know? So now the hindbrain, or what people call the reptilian brain, and I've spoken to neuroscientists about that, and they don't call it the reptilian brain. I put it in there because that's what a lot of people refer to it as. That's the fight or flight response, right? The amygdala response. So that's instincts. That's where the brainstem is the oldest part of the brain, or the nervous system. So what that means is that it's in a constant survival state. And when we're activating that part of the survival state all the time, then it causes massive problems in performance, especially when we're going to a world-class level. Limbic system, that's pure emotions. And if we're reacting constantly and we're activating the amygdala, then we're getting a limbic response. The limbic response is where the emotions are constantly being triggered. And this can then get in a loop and cause massive problems. The neocortex is basically like the CEO of the brain. It tries and puts it into logic. What is going on here? It's also where we're using internal dialogue and self-talk. And that's how I really rewire people's thinking, is a lot through automatic self-talk. Whole conversations another time. Remember, there's a free training which goes into it way deeper than this. So is that making sense? Clear as mud? Making sense? But you start to see how this starts to link together, right? Making sense now? Gotcha. See, I'm just refreshing your brain. We got to keep refreshing your brain. So I want you to understand where a lot of this comes from. And I want you to understand that, remember I said at the start, the brain is like a blank canvas and we're building and we have billions of experiences. Well, maybe you want to take your notepad and pen right now. I'm doing a lot of this today. I don't know what that's about. Take your notepad and pen or stop thinking about this. 0 to 7 is the imprint stage. This is the blueprint, the foundation of our brain. And if you've had trauma as a kid, or you've been around extreme circumstances, or it causes massive effects for the rest of your life unless we really do some deep change now. And the thing about that is, this is where your money patterns come from, your expectations about life, stress, anger, it all can come from this blueprint stage. So think about that in your own life. Think about that in your own life when you're thinking about your stress levels. Do you get angry? What's your belief around money? It's coming from a lot of it here, which is crazy, right? So the other thing is modeling. Now, 7 to 14, think about that age group. What are you doing? Yeah, you're watching TV, you're hanging around with people, and you're starting to look at, who am I modeling? Modeling meaning, who am I copying? Okay? So who are you copying back then? Well, for me, it was Bruce Lee, Jean-Claude Van Damme, it was Jackie Chan. It was all people like that. I was obsessed with martial arts, especially at 7 to 14, obsessed with martial arts. Oh, and 14 to 21. Oh, and yeah, I'm still obsessed. So modeling can really change everything. If you, like, for these days, if you were obsessed with Harry Potter from 7 to 14 and all you did all day was watch Harry Potter, then you're going to start to look at the world a very different way. You might look at it as magic, right? And anything's possible. Do you see the difference? So then we move on to the socialization period. And this is where we start to form groups. Think about this, right? Hang around with the bad boys, right? Hang around with the nerds or the jocks, or you get the idea, right? So when we start to look at these periods of our life, it really starts to paint a picture when we start to understand about the brain now. Makes sense? So then we move to the career period or the business persona. And this is about 21 to 35, but again, it's all rough numbers. Don't ever believe stats. Stats are just a study that got made famous. It doesn't mean it's the correct information, but what it does give us is a general screenshot, right? A snapshot of what's going on. And 21 to 35, well, you might not get in business till you're 40, right? So what does that mean? But these are the signs. This is the science. So 21 to 35, it's where we start looking at career modeling and business persona and who we're going to be like. Well, these days, it's amazing because the kids getting old, right? The kids these days are getting this business persona very, very early. So they're getting it around the socialization period, or they're getting it around the modeling period. That's why you're getting these young kids coming through. They're doing amazing things. It's because they're showing this stuff such at an early age. That's why I say don't look at stats, because all of this has changed depending on the culture, right? So I just want you to start paying attention to those things, and so maybe you're getting a few ahas, right? The point is, with all of this stuff, right? Let's just go back over it, right? Let's go back over it very quickly. So when we start to understand, that's why I create the business. It's not that, right? You see the difference? Right. It's this, high performance. When we start to build the neural retraining, which is my systems, neuroscience experience, when we start to understand about gamification, when we start to understand about the conscious, unconscious mind, and when we start to understand that things are automatic and we're retraining the nervous system, and there's different ways to get access to the software, and we're understanding brain waves, and we're understanding actually what creates true results fast. And we're understanding the different parts of the brain. And we're understanding where all this developed from. Then what this is all about in business is what I love to do. That's why I brought this together. It doesn't matter what level of the game you are at. If you're launching a product, if you're an online marketer, if you're in finance, if you're in sports, if you are under high pressure performance, if you're dealing with acquisitions and business mergers and forex trading, and it goes on, it doesn't matter. The thing that's going to help you scale your performance and your business and your life is the things that I've gone through. But we have to get your nervous system ready to what? Yes, to get used to the unknown, get used to the next stage. Remember, 5-figure things different to a 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure, 10-figure person. It's all levels. And people below can't understand what the next level is. In quantum physics, they call that flat world or flat plane, right? And what that means is like, you can look at a dog's world, but a dog can't look at your world. Let's explain it like that. And that's the same with business growth. Now, I've looked in tens of thousands of people's brains. I've worked with some of the top people in the world who are running $400, $500 million businesses, royalty, people who are world champion athletes, putting people on TV sets. I've worked with just everyone you can imagine, the top in the world in internet marketing, network marketing, finance. It goes on. And what I know for sure is that when we start rewiring things, the level of the performance goes up, and I don't need to tell anyone about how to do their business. Makes sense? The business is their business. But when we can get you used to it inside of your brain and your nervous system used to it, you go into something called flow state. And when we're in flow state, it means that we start to become magnetic. Opportunities just appear. It's like we're seeing the matrix. And when we can start to see the matrix, then that habit starts to build for the future. And this is how we create rapid acceleration and results. Like it? Good. That's your world-class performer 101. Okay? So now you understand it. So what's your mission of the year? What is it? Pure honesty. What do you want? Right? Because if you understand that all of this is possible and we've got to rewire the brain, what is it you want? What is it you want in 6 months, 12 months? What is it you want in 10 years? What is it you want today? What's your mission? And if you don't have clarity, if you're confused about the systems, if you're trying to move out of you're trying to scale your business and you're trying to move into your correct role, if you're just trying to get a product launched, if you're trying to, whatever it is, if you've dipped in performance, but what's your mission of the year? Maybe you're making some notes. Maybe you're making some notes. That's a hint, right? Make some notes. I'll give you like 10 seconds. Make those notes and start to unlock and start to imagine what's possible. Because that's how we create your life. That's how we get the money that you want. That's how we build you into the superhuman version of you, or what I call the 8-figure thinker. Okay? Could be 9 figures, 10 figures, 11, I don't know. The point is, 8-figure thinking sees the world a certain way. And if you saw that version of you right now, and you stepped through their eyes and looked at your current situation, doesn't it seem simple to be able to make a different decision? Right? Exactly. So hopefully you enjoyed this. And if you want some more, then I recommend you go here, because this is a free video for you. It's the 3 master keys that all top performers use to win big in business, sports, and everyday life. And guess what? If you would like to finally eliminate stress from your life and instantly become a top performer in your field, this is it. This is where the start of the journey. It's a free video there. So yeah, you probably want to go and do it. It's 12 minutes long, 12 minutes, 47 minutes long. And I go through 3 fundamentals that you need to know. Plain and simple. So go to worldclassperformer.co/video and enjoy. So that is me over and out. Much, much love. Any questions, put them in the comments below. Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, like and share. Come and find what else I've got. And yeah, much, much love. And I will see you very, very soon. So crew, there we go. The end of episode 228. Hopefully you loved it. Hopefully you understand more about Mindset by Design now. Hopefully you understand more about me. Hopefully you understand why this is so different and what you need to do to be able to create change, right? Hopefully now, right? Hopefully you do. That was the point in the episode. And speaking of the point in the episode, now go over to the show notes and do something different for yourself. Click on either the World Class Performer links, which you definitely should be, or connect with me or one of our coaches through the Unlock Your Performance sessions and discover, really what's the right fit for you, what program, what's going to help you move forwards. So make sure you click those links and remember to write a comment, like and share, do us a review, and oh yeah, one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.